Hello students, today let's continue with the topic resume writing and job application letters. In my last lecture we had seen introduction, meaning and characteristics of job application letters. Today we are going to start with forms or types of application letters. Now here children, there are mainly two types of application letters. One is solicited application letter and other is unsolicited application letter. Now your students, solicited application letter is written in response to an announced job opening on company website, job portals and newspaper. Here they give an advertisement that they want a person with particular qualification or for this particular post. So here you will find that there will be more competition as many applicants will be applying for the same post. This type of application when you are writing, it should be very up to the mark. There should be no mistakes because if you want to be chosen among the hundreds, so you should be very particular about each and everything. The other one is unsolicited application letter. Now here children, this letter is sent to an organization that has not announced an opening, but when job seeker comes to know from reliable sources about the job opening, this letter stands a better chance of being read and receiving individualized attention. Here they have not given any advertisement here, nothing, just you came to know from one of your friend or someone like that there is vacancy, so you are just applying. So this kind is like a good opportunity because here you will not have many people applying for the same post. You are individually, you yourself are applying in the firm. So here they will really pay attention to your application letter. So this one can be a very good opportunity. So this here also you should write an application very nicely. So here children, you have to keep in mind both solicited and unsolicited application letters present your qualification in a manner. The main difference is in the opening paragraph here. Both the letters are application letters, so you will be speaking here about your qualification, your experience, your abilities and all. But the main difference in both the letter is about the main paragraph, or you can say the opening paragraph of the letter. Here in solicited letter, you need no special attention getting devices here because you are invited to apply here. So you will just write with reference to the advertisement in your newspaper and all, I am applying. But here you have to keep in mind that in unsolicited letter, the reader's attention and interest has to be captured here. So here you can say it is like a sales letter. Here you are going to just try to convince them that you have really those capabilities which can be beneficial for the firm. So this is the main difference between solicited and unsolicited letter. Now next one, that is biodata, curriculum vitae and resume. Now children, in a recent trend in writing application letter, they mainly people, students or the person who is applying for any particular post, they write in two parts. Like application letter itself, first part, and the other one you can say the biodata or the personal record sheet of the person, which gives information about the personal qualities, education, experience and all. So mainly application letter is in two parts. One is the application mainly and the other one is the personal information, education and experience. So this form is generally preferred by those who have something worth telling about their qualification and experience. Means if you have a lot of experience or you possess many qualities, you have won many certificates and all everything. So if you have many things to tell here, then you can. It is preferable for divide the application letter in two parts, and in the next part you write everything in detail. But here you have to keep in mind the other method of writing job application is writing everything in the application itself. So generally freshers write everything in the job application only because they don't have experience, they don't have any, you can say, they have not done any training part, they have not attended any seminar and nothing like that. They don't have anything to tell about. They are just fresher, they have just come out of the college. They are just qualified, they have just got a degree, they have nothing to tell. So here what happened, they write only application letter and everything is mentioned in the application letter only. They don't separately write curriculum vitae or resume or biodata here, you can say. So here you have to keep in mind that there is no set rule as to who has to write job application along with biodata or only job application. No one will tell you that we want only job application, don't give biodata, or no, if here you will find that no one will tell you that we want biodata strictly and all, nothing like that. It is up to you how you present yourself to the firm here when you want to go for an interview, before you go for an interview actually. So now here mainly we are going to see these three: biodata, curriculum vitae and resume in detail. First we'll start with biodata. Now children, biodata is the short form of biographical data. Here it is an old fashioned term which is used for resume or CV. Now here you will find mainly you all speak, when you're speaking about application letter, you only say, see, I've mentioned my CV, or I have attached my CV with it, or I have attached my resume with it. No one will say biodata because it is an old term. But here you have to keep in mind the emphasis in a biodata is on personal particulars like date of birth, religion, sex, race, nationality, residence, marital status and the like. Mainly in biodata all this personal information is given. And next, everything chronological listing of education and experience. After you give your personal information here, everything, then afterwards you speak about your education, and then third one is your experience. So the things normally found in a resume, that is specific skills for the job in question, comes last, and are seldom included. Biodata also includes application made in specified formats as required by the company here. Here you have to keep in mind, in resume first what we do, we write about our qualification and then our experience, and then at last our personal information is their name, date of birth and all. But in biodata first personal information is given, then education is given, and after that you will speak about your experience. Now here you have to keep in mind that biodata is, though it is old fashioned term, but when it is attached with your application, the firm gets a detail of information about yourself. Afterward, the next thing which we are going to see is curriculum vitae. Now children, curriculum vitae is mainly known as what? CV. Here CV is a Latin word meaning course of life. It is therefore a regular or particular course of study pertaining to education and life. Here a CV is more detailed than a resume, usually 2-3 pages, but can run even longer as per the requirement. Here you have to keep in mind, a CV generally lists out every skills, jobs, degrees, profession, affiliation the applicant has, or if he or she acquires, and that is in chronological order. A CV displays general talent rather than specific skills for any specific position. In biodata we just write our qualification and over, but in CV we give every detailed information about our professional affiliation, about what skills we inherit and what are our capabilities and all. After that is resume. Now children, resume is a French word meaning summary, and true to the word meaning signifies a summary of one's employment, education and other skills used in applying for a new position. A resume seldom exceeds one side of an A4 size sheet and at most 2 sides. They do not list out all education and qualification, but only highlight specific skill customized to the target, the job profile in question. Here you have to keep in mind, a resume is usually broken into bullets and written in the third person to appear objective and formal. A good resume starts with brief summary of qualification, followed by areas of strength or industries expertise in keywords, followed by personal experience in reverse chronological order. Here you have to keep in mind, when you are writing about your professional experience, it should be in reverse chronological order. Keep that in mind. Focus on the most recent experience. Prior experience should be summarized. That you have to keep in mind. I hope you have understood difference between biodata, curriculum vitae and resume now. Now moving on to the next topic, that is essential elements of biodata, curriculum vitae and resume. Now here you have to keep in mind, children, there are here when we write biodata, curriculum vitae or resume, it should be in a standardized form here, because we are forwarding it to a firm whom we seek to appoint us, or whom we seek to choose us among the hundreds. So there are some essential elements while preparing your resume, biodata or you can say curriculum vitae, which you should know. So that I will be sharing with you all now. First one is heading. Now when you write heading, first comes the full name. Here the form of the name should be used as it appears on academic records, so that there will be no confusion that the documents belong to the same person or not. How the name is written in whichever order, first surname, then middle name, then the last name if it is there, or any other order, the same should be written in the job application letter, because it becomes easy for an employer for further communication, or to give call letter or to offer letter. That you have to keep in mind. You should not use nickname or shortened name. The job seeker can emphasize only your full name. So for example, your name is Manoj Tiwari here. So you no need to shorten the real name into Manoj or any other thing. Do not use nickname of yours which is used at home. Just use the middle name here. You have to keep in mind, whatever you write, it should be, if you have any professional prefix or suffix here, suppose if you have done PhD, then you can just add doctor. When the person has done PhD, the prefix is added to his name, his or her name, Dr. Manoj Tiwari, like that. So that you can add, but other than that, don't use any other thing in your name, as it is how it is on your certificate. Same you should write in the application letter. After that comes the email address. Now when the job seeker can place email ID below the name or with mailing addresses, here it is wise to set up an email ID using one's full name. Here you have to write, for example, as Manoj Tiwari @gmail.com. Preferably here you do not use full stop or underscores in your email ID. Use small letters only. It becomes convenient for the person to mail you, and it is very necessary that you use official email ID while forwarding it to the firm here, because the person will be emailing you, the person will be mailing you, so it becomes easy for that person. Do not use vague email IDs like smart2manoj@gmail.com or any other thing, the drunken monkey, like that. Don't use any vague. It won't have a good impression of yours on the firm. So don't make that mistake. After that is mailing addresses. Now mailing addresses were once traditional to include on a resume with candidates, include both temporary and permanent home addresses, as the employer would communicate via mailing address in olden days. Like you used to write your you can say phone number or the permanent address and all. Now the most communication is mainly by email or your mobile number. So full mailing address are not always necessary in the job application here. Some job seeker may not wish to include complete mailing address due to privacy concern. So, but job seeker here, you need not give complete mailing address. For example, you can just state that Camp area, Pune, it is more than enough. No need to give any detailed information here, because they will be mainly mailing you. If they want to reply to your application letter, they want to call you for the interview, they will mail you, or they will just call you on your personal mobile number. So that is more than enough. After that is website URL. LinkedIn, social net and social networking site or blog. Here you have to keep in mind, you should not include a URL of a personal website unless the contents are strictly professional or academic. Do not include that in your resume or in your application. Here, listing website that contain inappropriate material tells employers that the candidate does not have judgment or maturity to be hired for a particular post here. If you want to give blog or LinkedIn details, he or she should be sure that the content on the same is very professional here. That you have to keep in mind. And one more thing that is that whenever, if you at the time of interview you want to share anything through the website or link or any shows social networking site, that you have to keep in mind that that is professional one, and you are very sure that when you are opening in front with them, they when they open it, they don't see anything which is not required, because it will have a bad impression on the employer. So don't make that mistake. You have to be very well planned. It should be very well planned and then forward to them. And whenever you are writing, don't place the word resume at the top of the resume. That is not at all good here. It won't have a good impression here. There is no need to tell them that it is a resume here. They are well qualified person. They know what your which page, the page when they see the all details of yours, professional experience, qualification, they will come to know that it is your resume. So don't do that. Afterwards is photograph. Now, when the job seeker, you as a job seeker, if you want to include your photo on in the CV here, it depends on you. Now, many firm what they do, they while giving an advertisement only, they say that you attach your photo with the resume and give. Or some people, though the company is not the company is not demanding it, still you provide them with your photograph. That is well and good, the person comes to know. But when you are attaching your photo with your resume, keep in mind that it is very you can say normal photo. It should be a professional photo, very nicely you should be, you can say, decently dressed up, because that will have a first impression of yours on the recruiter. So you have to keep in mind the photo should be of decent one. You should not use such kind of photos which you take a selfie with your friend, or you're just sitting at home on the sofa and you're clicking your selfie and that you're forwarding it to them. That won't do. The photo should be of proper size, passport size photograph. It should be decently taken, and it should not include any unnecessary things behind. It should have you can say blank, you can say back there. Nothing should be there. It should be like how you give photo for any passport or something like that. For in the same way, the photo should be given in the resume also. After that is objective. Now here Chidan, once you start writing, this was your heading where you give your full name, address, mailing address, website if you are giving them, social networking site and photograph. That is done. After that comes objective. Now Chidan, the objective tells the perspective of yours, the type of work you are currently doing or you want to pursue. So the rest of the resume should be designed to most effectively support the objective which you are mentioning here in your resume. Here many people or you can say they have an opinion that objective is necessary. The real issue with the objective is that if you are mentioning the objective and the rest of the resume is not matching to it, that won't have a good impression on the recruiter. So if you are writing an objective, you have to keep in mind that the objective makes the employer guess what the job seeker want to do in future. The employer, either the industry candidate wants to work in, or the type of work the job seeker wants to do, or he is able to do. So for that reason, you have to keep in mind it should be very appropriately written. Here you should avoid objectives like position which utilizes my skills and abilities without specifying your skills and abilities. You should not do that. Avoid objectives such as looking for middle or senior position with an organization. Don't use such kind of phrases here. It is not the employer's job to be candidate's career counselor, so that the employer should not have to hunt through your resume to guess what you are interested in doing. Don't do that. Here you have, whenever you are writing an objective, you have to keep in mind that it should be written in such a way that reading the objective, the person comes to know what capabilities you inherit and how it can be beneficial for their firm. Afterward, the next one is education. Now, when you are writing in your resume, the education section, you have to keep in mind, you should always write it below your objective. This is because the education is the current pursuit or the most recent significant accomplishment and is usually related to the objective only here. So even if any education is not specifically tied to the objective, but the candidate wants the employer to know that he is pursuing or completing a degree or course, he should list them. Here, firstly, when you are writing the third section, that is education, here degree or program of study should be written. Here what happened? First thing, if the applicant has more than one degree, list most recent first. Means suppose if you have done your MCom, or if you have done your MBA and all, first you will write MBA, then you will write the graduation degree, then you will write your 12th standard degree, then 10th, like that. You have to go in a reverse order. Commonly mentioned, it should be commonly mentioned with regard to how the list contains a resume. Now the degrees must be abbreviated one. Don't write the full form of the degrees. That also you have to keep in mind. After that, when you are mentioning the degree, it is important that you mention the institution name, city or town where you have got that degree. So while listing that, include the location, city, town, state, country or education degree. Like you have to write from Pune University, for Ahmedabad University, like that you have to mention it specifically, so the person comes to know that from where you have completed your education. That is very important here, because in many forms they mainly ask from which university have you passed out, from where you have done. So while writing your education, mentioning the institution or the university is very important. After that comes study abroad. Now if you have studied abroad or has accepted to do it outside the country, then it is in the education section. You have to indicate the month, year or term or year that you have or will study abroad, because here you have to give them description here that you have done your education from any other university outside the state, and when you are still pursuing the education, you might need to go there for at the time of examination and all. So that also is needed to be included there. After that, the next one is grade point average, that is GPA or technical experience or awards, etc. Now here children, many job seekers have a higher GPA in final year than GPA in the than overall GPA. So here you have to keep in mind, this may be helpful to mention final year GPA. It lets the employer know the area of strength. Now many children from their early times, in the young age, they are not very serious about their studies. But once they start growing up, they realize the importance of studies, and what happened, as they in their final years, they start scoring good grades here. So when you are mentioning your grades here, you have to keep in mind here you have to mention the last one first, means your MBA or MCom, something like that, how much you have scored. It shows your strength here. And afterwards you have to keep in mind that though you try to twist and turn everything, the person is going to finally see your resume very in detail and they will come to know. But at least here what will happen, they will come to know that though you were not earlier, you have not scored good grades, but later on when you are trying to do specific course and all, there you have gained more percentage. So that can be helpful for you all. After that, here you have to mention them that if any, while any practicing session you have gained any award, if you have any, you have attended any seminar, you have done any training and all, that also certificate should be mentioned there in your resume. After that is earning or financing all or portion of the cost of college education here. Here that is also very important here. You have to mention in your application itself that you have earned or financed 50% of your tuition and living expenses. Because why it is important, children? Yeah, mainly because it shows the recruiter or employer that you are taking responsibility of your education here. Now in India it is very rare that students finance their studies, but in foreign countries the student itself finance their studies once they are grown up. Parents don't look into their this matter here. So if you are telling them that I earn and I financed my education, that will really have a good impression on the recruiter. After that, technical or continuing education here. Now here children, the on your part as a job seeker, if you have some technical education or you are pursuing any technical course, you should mention in CV, as the course could be related to achieving higher career goals. The firm will realize that that can be beneficial for them, so they can choose you. So that is very important. After that is academic awards. Now if you have earned any scholarship or scholastic achievement, or you have any particular, you have honored with any particular award and all, so you have to list it in your resume. That will really have a good impression of your resume on the recruiters. After that is class project or independent studies. Now you should mention your class projects if you have done any independent studies too, because here what will happen, if you are mentioning the entry here that you have done this kind of project and all, the person will come to know that you have a practical knowledge also. So for this reason it is very important. After that is publications. Now here your publication could also be in the main heading section, like many graduate students do participate in writing of publication at college level. So if you mention that also, that will be good for you. After that is coursework. Whether or not to include coursework or relevant courses section is a judgment call and depends on several things. So don't include courses that candidates would have obviously taken based on graduate and postgraduate studies. Do not make that mistake here. You have to keep in mind that any coursework if you have done and you have gotten certificate from a, you can say, reputed firm and all, institution and all, that you can mention here. Then after that is related experience and other experiences. Now you earlier, now which I have told you, like heading, objective, educational degree. The third section, educational degree, is very important here. There are many things I have mentioned here which you have to mention in your resume here. After that, any other experience you have other than that, or any other certificate you have, that also you can mention here. Like you can say if you have done any internship, or if you have done any field study, if you have volunteered anything, if you held any position in the club, etc. So that also you can mention, because it shows the recruiter that you have learned basic work ethics and skills, and you know how to take responsibility, you know how to work cooperatively you know how to deal with your co-workers, you know what is time management. So that is very important. Related experience and other experiences, if you mention, that can also be very beneficial for you all. Here when you are mentioning here any other experience and all, here you have to mention what was your job title, your organization name, where it is located, for what term you have done, that also you should mention here. After that is skills. Now children, many resumes can benefit from having a skills section. Heading might simply read skills, but and include soft and hard or universal skills also. While hard skills are learned technical skills, soft skills are candidates' personal behavior, you can say. So they here you have to list out various skills like hard skills, including computer skill, laboratory skill, foreign language if you know, writing skill, anything it can be mentioned here in the CV. Now here mainly the recruiter children will see the soft skill. They will see the way you behave, if you possess leadership skill, if you possess strategic management or planning skill, research work skill, what is your how good communication skill you have. So they will mainly pay attention to that of yours, and if they find you fit in that, they will for sure call you for the interview. Now if you have you can say any, if you know any foreign language, you have done it learn it from a very reputed institution and all, that also you can mention to them, because it can be very beneficial for them. They will know that you have some extra qualities in you, and in future that can be you can say good for the firm. After that is certificates and licenses. Now, if you have any certificate or licenses like teaching certificate, engineering training certificate, fitness certificate, first aid certificate, or scuba diving certificate related to the career objective, then you can include it in your CV here. It can be really a driving force for them. They will really come to know that you have license for that, and it can be beneficial for them. After that is security clearance. Now, if you possess any security clearance from the current or previous employment, then you can include that also in your resume. After that comes work authorization. Now, it refers to your legal authorization to work in a particular country. In India, this is not very necessary. If a candidate is Indian or he intends to work in USA or any other country, then work authorization is necessary to be mentioned with passport and visa details. If you are working out of the country, then the work authorization letter should be mentioned with your passport and visa details. And if the person thinks he is willing to be relocated in any other country, that this work authorization certificate should be mentioned with the CV. After that is period of notice or availability. Now, job seeker means you should mention on resume when he is ready to take up a job. If he is ready to employ, job seeker should mention the notice period to be served, or if you have applied for internship, then you should mention when you will be available for the internship, or when you will be available to be appointed for a particular post. That is very important. Afterwards comes references. Now, if you are including references on your resume, it should you can say it should be done very properly, because this reference list should be given is very important. So for that reason, you can say it should be on a separate page here. If you have to very particularly write the name of the person whom you are giving, whose name you are giving for reference, the post of the person, in which firm that person is working, email ID, personal contact number, that also you can mention there. Because in future, if the recruiter wants to speak to that person to ask about your reference, to know about you, it becomes convenient for the person to contact them. So it should be written properly. After that is interest or other items. Now here you have to keep in mind, if you are pursuing for any other, you can say, uh, any other firm, but still you want to tell them about your interest and other things, like what are your hobbies, what are you good at, any other skill, like good in playing cricket, good in playing football and all, your personal interest, like to you like to travel, you like to listen to music and all. So that also small section you can include there. After that, Aadhaar number or social security number is very important here. Wherever you go, children, now this Aadhaar number, or you can say social security number, is asked by the firms and all. They mainly first ask you give xerox of your Aadhaar card and all. So that should also be mentioned. So it shows that whatever you have sent is a valid one. Now, after that comes the salary details. Now, when you are writing an application or resume, here you have to keep in mind, you have to mention, mainly here, children, what happened, if the person is well experienced and all, so while writing only you can mention them, that you want such, you expect this amount of salary from them. Then, because what happened, when they are going through your CV, they will come to know that you have so much experience, so this salary you are expecting here. So it is very important in this case that you should mention salary detail. But if you are a fresher and if you are writing an application and all, please don't mention your salary detail, don't write your expectation here, because you are new in this, you can say, profession here. You still have to gain an experience. So give a chance to them to ask to call you for an interview. Then you can just finally discuss when you feel that they are going to appoint you now, then you can discuss or negotiate the salary requirement with them. After that is family details. You have to mention about your marital status, your spouse, your father, your religion, everything, so that they will get a general idea about who you are, which religion you belong to, your marital status and all, everything. So that is also very important. Then the last one is conclusion statement and signature here. Now children, here this one, last one, conclusion statement at the end of the CV. It is mainly people think that you have to include conclusion statement at the end of the CV. Don't do that. Remove the oath bearing statement at the end of the CV that says I declare all the information is true and updated to best of my ability, and with date and signature. Don't do that. It is understood that whatever you have mentioned in your CV is not a lie here. So no need to do it. Uh, Here you have to keep in mind that whenever you are writing, whatever you are writing, they really feel that whatever it is, you can say, correct information given to you all. So you have to only keep in mind when you are sending an email or cover letter or resume, the signature is not necessary at all. Again, signing the resume is not judgmental, or it is not requested by the prospective. If they really say that you have to at the end you have to mention your name and signature, then you have to do it here. Now what happened, there are many companies who receive resumes in the form of hard copy here. So for this reason, that time many people they mention all the things and forward it, but in mail that is not possible. You have to just write it in short, and later when you have a personal interview, that time you can discuss everything in detail with them. So I hope you have understood this. Today we have seen forms or types of application letters and what is biodata, curriculum vitae or resume. The essential elements which your curriculum vitae and resume or biodata should contain, like heading, objective, education, related experience, skills, certificate, licenses, security clearance, work authorization, period of notice, reference, interest, Aadhaar number, salary detail, family details, and conclusion statement and signature. So here you have to keep in mind, whenever you're preparing your resume, all these things are this, or you can say these are the essential elements which should be there in your resume, which will make your resume complete one, or you can say you can say standardized resume. I hope you have understood this. Thank you.